Hi, this is Untitled Chapter and welcome to my studio. Today I'm going to talk about some special early computer-based digital music instrument that was initially sold by the brand called AppleII and later on rebranded by Roland. And the name of that instrument is CMU-800 or 800R. There are two of them appeared to the market. Honestly, I haven't found any significant difference between them internally, at least on this part of the unit. But what it is, it's basically a computer-based instrument that needs to have a computer in order to work together. And to my great luck, I have a complete setup, which is absolutely a rare case. Typically, if you find in the market, like the main unit only, it comes without computer card, so you cannot actually interface it to the computer. And in my case here, I have AppleII GS, so there are a couple of interface cards, including the Commodore card and other NEC cards. In that case, there is a special card designed just for AppleII series that plugs into the slot and connects with a flat ribbon cable from that daughter card to the unit, actually. For the people who don't have these computer-based cards, and I think it's majority, there is option to integrate it with MIDI interface, and there are custom-made or DIY interfaces that you can attach to this unit, and so you can produce the sounds and you can actually make it sounding, because otherwise there is no way to do that. But the main problem that you completely lose the experience of the interfacing the early vintage computer, and you lose the all the advantages of the early software, which is designed to operate together. So I have all of that set up that I'm going to show you today. How that works together, how that operates. Just to tell you right away, I'm not advanced programmer of that software. It comes with a book, and interesting enough, the book is just a couple of pages, like 60 pages, and that's it, which explains everything, how it's working together, and how you should start programming on that specific Apple version of the software. So, first of all, what is CMU-800? CMU-800 is basically very simple by the architecture design synthesizer, which comes with the different synthesizer pieces. So first of all, it has drums, which is TR-606 kind of drums, so it's a fully analog drums triggered internally. And the difference of the unit that I currently have, so it's modified it by myself to introduce more controls for the analog drum section. I'll be talking about that later, but basically it's a way to, at least to get it some more different character of a sound that it was designed originally for. Drums is one section, then you have a melody channel, so it's a single voice melody channel. Then you have a bass channel, it's a single voice bass channel. Then you have 4 channels of a chord section, so it's basically, it's something that can create a 4-voice polyphony, but in fact they are designed to operate separately, so it's 4 channels. Then you have channels 7 and 8, and they do not have a synthesizer built in, they only produce the data outside. On the back side of this unit, actually, it's not just a simple synthesizer, it's very, very advanced CV gate interface with 8 channels of a CV gate, so basically first 6 of them really duplicate the internal synthesizer pieces. So you may decide what you want to use. For instance, bass section of internal one, or interface it outside, or do both together. So that's possible too. While 7 and 8, they only output outside. Also, for the sound design control, this unit has really limited features that you might expect seeing something more advanced, but unfortunately not here. So for the melody channel, you can control sustain and decay parameters, only decay parameter for the bass section and decay parameter for the short section. That's it. No more controls. So the sound that you'll find later is very naive. But for the channel 8, you also have a permanent control. And I will show you some examples how you can use that creatively. Finally, closing this section, the very dedicated audio output as well as mix output. So it has a small mixer section where you can basically mix melody, bass, and well, chords written together, and you can output through the mix output, or as you would prefer, there's dedicated output for melody, bass, and again, all of these outputs can go straight out of 4 separate outs. Needless to say, all of these outs are mono, so you're dealing with a technology which was 1981 type of a year, so please expect so. Alright, so let's get started and I will show you how you can use that. In order to get the system running, you need to have the floppy with software, with operating system, anyway, bootable floppy with a software inside it, and that's what you need first to do. So we put it inside and we turn the unit first. Monitor on, unit on. Now we turn on the computer. Great. So now it's ready basically to start. First question it asks you is the slot number. We have a daughter card installed. For the AppleII GS, that's the most right slot, and it's a number 7. Okay, now the software is fully ready to operate. I will start first, before we go to the details what software can do, I will start with a demo song which was supplied on a floppy disk with that unit, so it's original factory demo. There are 3 demos. I will pick only one, so not making it really boring. And then we play it, we listen it, and then we will make something by ourselves. All right, in order to do that, I press L, which means load. It gives me the list of all the songs on this specific floppy. It's called tune, oops. Yeah, there is no backspace. It's called tune 1. Now the song is loaded, and in order to play it, there are 2 ways to play it. Play the whole song or play just a measure. We will play a whole song and we will see how that outputs all the data outside. So to do that, we press P. Just enough. You're probably already excited by the quality of the sound of that system, but this is really early digital computer-based music instrument, which gives you amazing programming by that time. I'll show you how you can integrate it in your current studio, but it's just unbelievable what you can do. Also, you can sync this unit to the outside world by having clock in and out. So it's currently clocked by the internal clocking, and you set the tempo by the pot here. So just to give you an example, so that's how simple it is. All right, so let's do something. Try to program this unit by ourselves. Unfortunately, it's not really convenient to operate with floppies these days, and you don't have to, because there are multiple of floppy emulators available. And I'm going first, before we move to the actual piece, I'm going to show you how I'm using it. So to do so, I have a floppy emulator, which is absolutely convenient way to replace the floppy drive with something which is, first of all, more robust, doesn't have a moving part, and can protect your data. So we will stop the system for a second, I will reconnect it, and then we will start it from the floppy drive. Okay, I now disconnected the floppy drive, and we have floppy emulator connected. We start in the system, and one more time. Okay, I have a floppy emulator connected now instead of the actual floppy drive. Let's get the system started. You pick the image that you want to boot, and then everything else operates like it would be a real floppy disk. No any significant changes, except that all the data now goes to the SD card, which is inside this unit. And you can flip between images quick without actually operating the real floppies. Do the same, set the channel number to 7th, and first of all, let me show you programming of the drum patterns, because this is the most simple and the most, I would say, easiest way to get into this system initially. I created a quick drum pattern, and I saved it to a file called try. Now I'm loading this file. It's a very small file because it has only 18 steps inside it. Now, in order to get to the drums editing, drums are edited in patterns. So it's pretty standard how all other sequences operate. You go to the pattern mode, and there are 10 editors. Editor 0 is your drum pattern editor. Editor 9 is your drum song editor. And editors 1 through 8 are your individual channels editors. So everything is monophonic for the melody channels, and you have to, if you want to create some polyphony like for the chart channels, you have to do that in monophonic lines. The beauty of that they are extremely programmable. So now to the channel 0, pattern 1, it's the only pattern that I currently have. The way you operate inside this pattern, you select the line where you want to be, and these are our bass drum, snare, low, high tones, and your basically, well, cymbals. And then if you want to put some drum, you press X. If you want to remove the drum, you press any other key like spacebar. And if you want to play these, you can do that by the key M, measure play. Great. There is no loop in this section, so if you want to play it multiple times, you have to hit M. But the real beauty is happening over here, because this is where you define the start time of every particular step. Even if you have 16 steps like in the standard drum machines, you can vary the total number of steps, and you can vary the time for each of the steps. So you can actually get into the polyphonic rhythms, and you can vary the grid as the way you want. Let me give an example. And the 6 represents typical for 1/16. So for instance, if you want to do in a 30-second, then you have to put 3 instead of 6, for instance. If you want to do that in 8, that would be 12 instead of that. And the total number of steps, to get everything summed up, you have to be at 96 in total. Good. So then you finished with the pattern, and you want to make another pattern. You press escape, you press the pattern number, let's say 2. In that case, it's empty. If I want to copy my other pattern just to make some variation, I press C. That would be a copy, source pattern 1. Done. So we copied that. And now, for instance, I want to create some variation to that, and I want to create some, I don't know, break. So that would be great. So we have now a drum roll, and If I want to create a song out of these patterns, now I go back, I go to the editor 9, which is a song editor for patterns. The way it works, you select the measure, current 1, select the pattern, 1, 1, 1, 2. So that would be our cycle. So we can repeat it again, 1, 1, 1, 2. And so we're getting into the song of 8 measures already. If I want to play it now, I press P. And so we got to the song. That was easy. Getting into the melody programming is slightly more difficult because now you have to deal with, again, grid programming of every melodic channel separately, even you want to do a polyphony. For instance, if I want to program a bass, which is a channel 2 here, I go to editor 2, so I press 2, select the measure, that would be 1, and it asks me for the step if I want to do that, because there's nothing exists today. Just hit 1, and this is my grid. In the grid, I have 3 values. CV, control voltage, which is representing my note. Then I have a start time and gate time. Pretty much similar idea like the drums, but now you have a gate time introduced because you don't have a gate time with drums. What it means, for instance, my start time can be, I don't know, half of a bar. I'm playing the note, and that note can be quarter note. So that would be half of a bar is my start time, and gate time would be corresponding to the quarter. For instance, if I want to create some bass line, and I have some numbers, for instance, that would be number 9, which means A1, and I want to have a duration of 18 because I will explain later, and gate time would be 6. So within the duration of 18, I'm playing only third of that, and I'm doing that twice, for instance. 18, 18, and 1 the octave up. That would be what I've just created. Go back. And it's playing only 1 bar because I only programmed 1 measure. That's the way it's working, that's the way how you program. But over that, you get lots of flexibility with advanced programming. And advanced programming, again, you do that with grid. Within the grid, you may set some repetitions. For instance, I want to do some part of some section of my melody to be repeated a couple times. Or, for instance, that would be some quick section. Let me explain it to you. I'm setting the repetition by opening the brakes. Now I'm setting the note for repetition. That would be, well, very quick. That should be very quick. For instance, like this. And I'm repeating between 2 notes, and I'm doing that 8 times. Let's hear that. Well, traditional chip sound. Now from there, play all together. Yeah, you can be significantly more creative than me. So you have full flexibility of doing that with these advanced programming. There's some other techniques how you can change the way that you see the way the start time is changing, gate time is changing. I'm doing that really simple for that baseline. Okay, now we will interface the CMU-800R to the external gear, and I will show you how you can do that. The first trick that you need to remember is what instrument you interface it to, and what are the voltage levels of these instruments and voltage specifications. So first of all, for you aware, all the CV gates that you have here, the gates operates about the 30 volt. It's a trigger, and it's a V trig. I'm currently set it up with running with my Behringer K2, which is basically a reproduction of a quark, and it's S-trigger specification. So while I can directly connect the CV voltages between these two, no problems at all, my problem is starting the gate. How can I connect the gate together? And in order to do so, I have to have a converter of the V trig to S trig specifications. You can buy these cables online pretty cheap. You can solder these cables by yourself. I just spent a minute to solder my own cable, and it's not actually a cable. It's just a breadboard with one transistor, one diode, which is here, and a couple of resistors, and that's it. And this breadboard sits in between, so it takes a transistor, and the transistor connects V trig to S trig of this unit. That's the way it's designed. Let me quickly show how it's working. So now I have everything set. I select all clear, so I will start with nothing. Go to the editor 7 because I'm on the channel 7. Measure 1, step 1, create a node, let's say 21. That would be a low node, 48. 48. Play. So plays exactly what it asks it to do. Now the beauty of that thing is coming into play where you can do some advanced programming. And I'm currently using channel 7. What if I decide to use channel 8 for something else? What if I want to use the portamento function on the channel 8 and sort of emulate LFO? Well, I can do it to some extent. Let's get to the editor for the channel 8, press 8, measure 1, and then use the trick of the repetition function. So open the bracket, and I will do LFO between CV10 and 100, and I will repeat it 100 times. I can do that. What I need to do, I will do that pretty quick. So that would be 3, 3, 3, 3. Now let's play this, and I'm going to do that by just disconnecting the CV out from the channel 7 and connecting it to the channel 8 only. And same for gate, obviously. Without portamento, with portamento. Now we have a sort of LFO. Go back to channel 7. And this LFO currently sits on a measure 1 of a channel 8. Keep in mind, we also have a channel 7 programmed. And now if I take another lead and connect the CV out of the channel 8 to something in my K2, for instance, amplifier control, like here, and play all together. You can hear that, and now I'm playing the note, and I'm also sending CV from the same system to the K2, to the amplifier control, and it creates the modulation effect, amplitude modulation. That's how easily you can program this system and interface to another gear. This is absolutely unbelievable, exciting experience, what you can do inside this system and how well you can integrate it with external gear, for instance, with modular gear, by using the clock input or clocking by this system your external gear. It's just unbelievable. This is what I want to share with you today. Thanks a lot. See you next time.